Hi, welcome to a brief video overview of Pictavo. We wanted to take a few minutes to familiarize you with the Pictavo interface, as well as introduce you to some pretty unique features that are going to help you create a great looking yearbook. We'll start here in the dashboard. This is going to be the screen that you see when you first log into your book. Over here on the left, you'll see icons for navigation. Our icons are designed just a little bit bigger so that they are mobile and touch technology friendly. Here we have project status thermometers. This is just an easy way at a glance for you to see how your book is looking. How many pages still need to be started, how many are in progress, what's been approved, etc. Over here we have a due date countdown clock, basic project specs, Pictavo news, which will update every time we write a new blog post. Down here we have the inspiration gallery, which links out to the Pictavo Yearbook Inspiration Pinterest boards. You'll always see the same board here, but we actually have quite a few boards ranging in topics all the way from photography how-tos, tips for your classroom, color inspiration, design inspiration. There's a lot of great information out there. Here we have a calendar and events. We're going to go into this in a little bit more detail in a few minutes, so we'll come back to the calendar. Pictavo also has a coverage tracker. We all know that coverage is so important because the more times a child is in the book, the more books you're going to sell. So as you can see from my color coding here, my demo book is not looking so good as far as my goal that I've set for myself and what's actually happening. That's because I haven't been tagging anyone in my pages. The way Pictavo is going to know who your students are and how many times they've been featured on pages is by uploading a student database. Here we have a sample student database. As pages are designed and photos are tagged, Pictavo will automatically update the number of times a student appears in the book, along with the page number that the student appears on. Later, when you start selling books, Pictavo is going to help you organize by keeping track of your order numbers here. This screen is also where you would change your coverage goal if necessary. And if you're a school that plans to create an index, it's really important to keep your student database updated and current because this is where the index builder is going to pull all of that important information from. To get started with your student database, go ahead and click this blue button over here. If you don't already have a spreadsheet laid out with all of the information needed in it, you can go ahead and download our worksheet template, fill it in with all the necessary information, and then go ahead and upload it here. Another important step in getting started with Pictavo is creating users and assigning groups. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. We've already created some users, and as you can see, you'll be able to tell when people log in, how often they log in, how often they save, how much time they're spending in your book. You'll be able to keep pretty close tabs on anyone that you have helping with your project. You can also create groups in Pictavo. The beauty of creating a group is if you have a large number of people and you want them all to have the exact same permissions, creating a group is definitely the most efficient way to assign them all permissions. So we'll go ahead and look at this photographers group here. As you can see, the photographers group only has permission to upload images and to update images. They don't get to do anything else. So these two people down here, these two users are in the photographers group. If you want to create new groups, go ahead up here to the new groups button. If you want to create a new user, then you just click this one. We'll create a user. His name is Joe Schmo. And Pictavo wants to know if we want to assign him to a group or not. So we can put him in with the other photographers, or we can go ahead and leave him unassigned. So we're going to leave him unassigned and go to the next screen. Here we decide what Joe Schmo gets permission to do. We're going to let him upload images, we're going to let him create folders, he can flow portraits, and he can move pages. Go ahead and click next. And here we decide if Joe gets to have access to the cover, and if he gets to have access to all of the pages or only select pages. So if we only want Joe to work on pages 10 through 20, we can type that in here. Or if it's a little bit more complicated, we can go down here, select all, and say he can work on everything except page 6, page 17, page 27, and page 5. Go ahead and save once you have all of your permissions set up the way that you want them. And there you have a new user. So now that we know how to create users in Pictavo, let's figure out what we can do with them. I mentioned earlier that we would go back and look at the calendar with a little bit more detail. Let's do that now. Here in the calendar, administrators can create and assign events that are going to show both on the calendar and out on the dashboard. Included in this calendar is also a task list. Project administrators can create and assign specific tasks to users, and users can also create their own task list. We can look at what's going on today, we can see what's coming up, we can even look at specific people and what tasks are assigned to them. So let's create a new task. Let's say somebody gets to order pizza. That sounds like a good job for our new friend Joe. And add, and there it is. Today we need to have someone order pizza. It's Joe. Now that we've taken a look at the organizational features available in Pictavo, let's go ahead and dig into the book a little bit more. We'll head over to the ladder. Here in the ladder, there are a few different ways that you can look at your pages. What we're seeing right now is the pages view, where you can see a thumbnail of each of your pages as a spread. If we switch over to list view, we can still see thumbnails of our spreads and pages, but we also get a lot more information. We can see what users are assigned to each page. We can see a page description. We can see what warnings are happening on the pages, and we can also navigate to the pages from here. In the ladder, we can also create sections. Sections are really important in the early phases of laying out your book because they help you to decide how many pages you're going to assign to a specific grade or a specific event or maybe even a specific teacher. And the great thing about the Pictavo section creator is that you can not only assign sections, name them, you can also color code them. So here, we'll create a new section for the spring fling. We'll give it a couple of pages right at the end of the book. We'll have Joe work on it. And then we can assign it a color. Add the section. Then if we go ahead and scroll through the sections that had already been created, you will see our 4-page Spring Fling section has now been added at the end of the book. And if we scroll down here and take a look at this ladder view, again, we can see that our 4-page Spring Fling section has been added to the end of the book. And if I'm Joe Schmo and I'm the one that knows that I need to be working on the Spring Fling section, and my color is this blue, that's what I need to look for in order to know what pages it is that I need to be going to work on. As we've been touring around Pictavo, you may have noticed a few different places where you've seen practice pages and practice covers. What we've done is created a place for users to be able to kind of play around with new features or practice things without the pressure of committing it to an actual page in their book. You can always create more practice pages by adding a page, specifying that you want more practice pages, telling Pictavo exactly how many you'll need, and then you can actually assign practice pages to specific users or groups. So everyone kind of has their own place to play around with things, and should anyone strike design gold, you can always save a practice page as a template, and then you can use it as many times as you want throughout your book. All right, let's get into the page designer. We'll start with a high school layout so that we can talk about the more advanced design tools, and then we can move over to an elementary spread so we can play around with the art a little bit more. So let's go straight into the art palette. I'm going to search right away for Focus, which is the name of one of our high school collections. We get templates, snippets, and accents in our search results. So we'll go look at templates. As you can see, they all coordinate. They all look nice together. We'll just grab this one and pull it on. So this is a template. Pull it onto your page. And as soon as it's on your page, we'll collapse this so we have a little bit more room. As soon as it's on your page, you can start modifying things, getting rid of things that you don't think that you want to keep around. And as you'll notice, quite a few things are already grouped together. And we did that just so that it's easier for you as a user to kind of grab things and move them around. And oftentimes there's a snippet that's designed to be that same size. So you can, you could get rid of this and then bring something else in that's just about that same size. So I want to line up this group and this group. So I'm going to use my Shift key to select them both. And then over here in my menu, I get alignment options. So I want to align them both to the top. So if I choose this, it pops them so that they are aligned to the top of their elements here. And then I'm just going to use my arrow keys to nudge in little tiny increments just so that I'm not moving things in big increments all over the page. Move that up a little bit, scoot. There we go. So let's say maybe we don't want to use this headline. Again, everything is grouped together. We can get rid of it all just with one click of the trash. We're going to go back to our search results and go into snippets. Again, everything in here matches with the Focus Art Collection. Let's just grab this headline and move it. Oh, you'll see as I get close to the edge, Pictavo is letting me know with this little guy right here, this object is close to the edge. You might want to keep an eye on it, but I'm doing it on purpose as part of my design, so we're going to ignore it. Now, if we like where everything is at, but we're just not sure about maybe the color. If your yearbook is not black and red, you can definitely go in and modify that as well. Again, this is all part of a group, so we need to ungroup it, choose the rectangle, go into my effects palette here, click on the fill color, and then over here I get to choose whatever color I want. So I want my rectangle to be blue. And if I know that I'm going to come back and want to use that same blue later in my book, I'm going to go ahead and save it, and then it'll be down here in my Save Colors library. Now let's go to this accent piece. Now this is a colorable accent. Pictavo is filled with pieces of art that are colorable, which means you're going to drag them onto your page. They're going to look black, but then you have the option here in your effects palette to colorize. So if you go there, again, you end up at your color picker, and we're going to our, let's make it gold. Go Blue Jays. We're going to save that. So then we can come back and use that blue and that gold anytime that we want to. So let's go ahead and let's delete the headline and the subhead that the template gave us. And we're going to head into our text palette. Now, if we know that every headline and every subhead in the book needs to be a certain size and a certain font, and you just want to make sure that you remember to follow those rules, you can go ahead here and edit your default text styles. So for our headline, maybe we're going to go in and change it to this font, and we want to make it white. We could use one of our saved colors because those are still options down here in our picker. And let's say we want to make it bigger, and we always want it to be centered. So if we save those changes, then we have a new default headline style. And when we click it, it's just going to put it on the page for us. So there we go. There we have a new headline. Let's collapse that. Oh, I don't have any guides or rulers. If we go into, I'm going to show you how to turn those on because that's kind of a handy thing to have. If we go down here to this little gear, that's where our page design settings are. And this is where we would turn on rulers if you want to have rulers on. You can turn a grid on, you can adjust the size of the grid. Show guides, smart guides, if you want to snap to guides. I prefer smart guides. Lots of different options in here, and it really just depends on the tools that are going to give you the design environment that you think is useful. So we'll go back out of here, and so far so good. Our layout's looking pretty okay, except we don't have any pictures in it yet. So let's go out here to my desktop, and I am just going to take this image and drag it right into Pictavo, and there it is, right there. So you can drag things directly from your desktop into Pictavo. And let's see, this guy's kind of in my way right now. So with these menus, you can actually dock them until you want them to come back and follow you around the page. But for right now, I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. So we dragged things straight from our desktop into Pictavo. I dragged them straight into a photo box. You can just drag them onto your page and it'll create its own photo box. However, when you do this, I do want to point out that here in your Manage Photos area, yes, of course I want to save. It's just going to drop them into a General Candids folder. So you, for the sake of staying organized, you're going to want to make sure, these are some of the images that I just dropped in there. You're going to want to make sure that you go back and select them and then drag them to whatever folder it is that you want them to live in. X out of there. Now, if I'm pretty happy with where my layout is, I'll collapse that. If I'm pretty happy with where my layout is, but I just kind of want to see a high resolution version of it, I could go up here to the Share window, and I can either PDF all pages or I can select pages. So today I was only working on pages 26 and 27. I want to create a high-res proof, and it is going to have a watermark on it. It'll say proof across the bottom. Click Next. And here you'll decide if you want to print, email your file, or if you just want to save it to your device. Once you click Save, Pictavo will then create a PDF based on the options that you've chosen in the last few windows. We're going to cancel out of here because we don't need a PDF. I feel like we've reviewed quite a few of the tools that a high school might need. Let's go to a blank page so that we can create an elementary spread. We'll dive right into the Art tab again. Let's search for Scrapbook. That's one of our elementary art collections. Tons of backgrounds, templates, snippets, everything to choose from. We'll go into templates. Again, beautifully coordinated, lots to choose from, tons of images on every single one. Just drag this one on. We'll collapse this. Now you'll see that a lot of our templates actually have a blank portrait grid already flowed onto them. We find that it's helpful for people to be able to decide, okay, how many kids can I fit on this page? How many pages am I going to need for each grade? And you can customize these portrait grids to be any size that you want. We're going to take this one off so then I can show you how to get another one on your page. Just come over here, find the portrait icon, click him, and there you have a portrait grid. Now, it's not exactly what we were looking for, so we're going to head over to the settings and make a few changes. We can change where the names are. We can even change the font that the names are in. And when we decide that this is pretty close to how we want it, we can actually even resize the empty grid to fit in our space a little bit better. So there we go. Now, we talked before about the fact that lots of things are grouped in snippets so that we can just, if this part of the template isn't really working out for you, you can get rid of it. And we can go back into our search results, go into snippets, and pick something else. This looks like that probably fits in there. And sure enough, it does. Now this, we'll collapse that again. This kindergarten headline up here is actually not a snippet. It's just an accent that already has the kindergarten grade label on it. If you like this template, but it is not for a kindergarten class, we can delete that. Again, head back to snippets, and we can just find another headline snippet. There's one. Drag it on. Reposition it. Maybe tilt it a little bit. There you go. And this teacher snippet up here, the teacher portrait that goes up here is actually not part of the portrait flow. You would drag a candid up here, and the portrait flow is actually completely separate from this. So let's collapse this. Speaking of portraits, I can show you too just how easy it is to flow portraits. Back over here in portrait flow settings, it says choose flow group. We're just doing a demo class, so there you go. That quick and easy. So I hope you got a great idea of how the tools in Pictavo are going to work for you and help you build a beautiful book. For more information, you can always check out the help system inside Pictavo. We're always adding new content. Or you can reach us on the Pictavo tech support line, or you can email us at answers@pictavo.com.